Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you here today. Love being able to share these Friday reviews with you, and especially today where I get to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a listener of the Cabral Concept, for supporting myself and our community all along the way. And it's really been a pleasure being able to record the Cabral Concept now for a little over 4 years. We just celebrated episode 1500 over the weekend. It was very apt and very enjoyable that I got to record episode 1500 on a Cabral house call. I didn't ever know exactly where it would fall, but really nice that I was able to spend that episode really answering questions from our community. Each and every weekend, we answer around 10 to 15 or so questions that come in over the past few weeks. And it's simply people looking for their start, their answer of where they may have gone wrong. They just took that wrong turn, right? They got off the path towards their wellness, where they can get back on track and start to get the results that they deserve. And also on those shows, I also just provide, again, another opinion, another thought process, and something you just may not have thought about. And that's simply because I get to live this, right? I get to live this and I get to breathe this every single day of my life. And now really helping, we stopped counting at 250,000 client appointments, but probably well over 300,000 appointments now, working with people now all over the world, has just allowed us to see things in a much more clear light. So I try to share that with you each and every day on the Cabral Concept. I certainly appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate the shares, the subscribes, the downloads, the reviews. All of that means the world to me. And I just wanted to say that from the bottom of my heart, thank you. All right, let's get right into the show now. I've got a few reviews for you this week and about 4 different research studies that I didn't want to save. I wanted just to share them all today. So that's what I will do. Now, the first thing that I want to do, though, is got a lot of questions. This is about 4 weeks ago now and been saving them up. A lot of people appreciated the show I did on the coronavirus and the basically flu viruses and all the viruses that we're exposed to. So I really broke that down, and I hope that it helped with a lot of the hysteria around the coronavirus. And again, every year or 2 years, this new virus that comes out. And now we're seeing more and more in the news. How did this virus actually begin? Was this something being worked on in a laboratory? Was this just nature's process working its way from animals to humans? Well, I think some interesting things may come out in the news in the future. Not a topic that I'm going to delve into today because I'm not one to start to talk out of turn unless there's real evidence on that. But what I want to do is share with you this, that viruses are real. And these things are not going to stop happening. So what we need to do is just make sure that we really keep our immune system strong. So I know that we talk about a lot of times eating well and eating an anti-inflammatory diet and a clean diet for body transformation. And we talk about that for wellness, whether it be autoimmune or gut-based protocols. But I also believe that you should do it. And it's one more reason why you should keep your stress down for your immune system. I mean, we need to keep our bodies strong so that if we were to ever be exposed to something like the coronavirus, that for us, it would be a mere 72 hours, maybe just a little bit more, 4 days, 5 days maximum, and our own immune system, along with good, healthy nutritional supplement protocols, would allow us to overcome that. And again, I've talked about those nutritional supplement protocols before, but simply things like vitamin C, zinc, elderberry, echinacea, oregano oil, grapefruit seed extract. I mean, these things are what nature gave us in order to boost our immune system, boost our white blood cells, be able to eradicate things like the flu-based virus. And elderberry has been proven to do that. So there's always hope. There's always an answer. And I just wanted to share that with you. And so thank you for your feedback on that. The other thing I wanted to share is that I posted just a few weeks back on my Instagram stories, I was having the window replaced in my office. And again, the building just after about 100 years, literally 100 years, decided to replace the windows. That might be a good idea, especially since they were like single pane. I'm on the main street. You can hear right through the windows. You could hear sirens going at all times. The wind was blowing right through the window. Not very good. But anyway, they replaced them, which was great. But what they were using for sealants and glues was absolutely toxic, literally toxic. And I smelled it. And now there's no ventilation. So what do? Well, again, this is why I talk about a good air filter and just being prepared. So I simply left my office for that Friday and for the weekend. I turned on my IQ air filter full blast, level 6, and I just allowed it to pull those what are called volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and gases right out of the air. So back in my office this next week and able to record that without all those noxious based gases. That's why, again, I just think that we live in a pretty toxic world. But people ask me all the time, now that you know this, like, are you worried all the time? And I'm not. I'm worried way less than other people, even though I've read all this research and seen all this information, and I see environmental toxicity labs all the time. And the reason is this, is that I know what we're being exposed to, but I try to do my best. I can't be perfect, but I try to do my best for myself and my family and teach on the Cabral concept. And that's it. We just do our best. That's it. And then allow technology to keep up with these toxins. And that's lab testing, like the environmental toxicity test, the mold toxicity test, gut-based testing, hormones, you name it, right? Heavy metals. And then, again, using these gadgets like the IQ Air. There's many air filters out there. I did a whole podcast on them, some as low as like $50 and others up to $1,000, right? So I did a whole podcast on that. You can always just go to stevencabral.com/podcasts and just type in the keyword air filter, and you will see my show on that. Again, I chose the IQ Air because it's used in safe rooms, basically, what do I want to say? Clean rooms in hospitals. I mean, that's how powerful it is. I am not a sponsor. No one's paying me to say that, but it's the brand that I use. I used an Allen air filter in the past. I've used many air filters. I honestly have. I've been using them since I learned about them. Well, way back in the day. I was like 22, 23 years old and started using them then. Well, one more thing that I want to share with you is the same company, and it's not the easiest company to purchase from either. I'm not saying that. Like, it's the best out there, but it's not the easiest. And they're a Swiss-made company. They're manufactured there, but they have an IQ Air mask. And that's, again, not sponsored by IQ Air. But what I wanted to share with you is that if you're someone who's worried about the coronavirus, and it's not that you shouldn't be, you should be worried about all viruses, right? A lot of people are wearing masks out there and they do absolutely nothing. Honestly, it's letting dust particles through. They do very, very little. Well, what IQ Air did was try to revolutionize the personal face mask industry. And so they created a multi-layer hyper HEPA media filtration system that's effective against 95% of all particles. Now, keep in mind, air filters are about 99, including those 100 times smaller than what's captured by ordinary dust respirator masks. So again, 100 times smaller than your regular construction site mask, or just people putting on the little elastic mask, the little ones with little elastic loops around it like in a hospital. That does not do that much, honestly. It doesn't do that much. So this gets down to smaller than 0.1 microns. And let's see, that takes care of about 90% of all airborne particles. Let's see what else that this says about this, because I want to make sure that I get it correct. Well, when I do this, I'll link up to it. So there's a specific page on the IQ Air website. I will link to that at stevencabral.com/1505. stevencabral.com/1505. They're actually quite good looking and ergonomic masks, and might be one that you wear on an airplane if you're traveling abroad, or simply you want to wear it whenever you feel that you might be at risk for exposures for these airborne gases, viruses. And I just want to let you know the reason why this came up today too is the IQ Air mask is proven to filter particles the same size as the flu virus, as well as other harmful airborne viruses and bacteria. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. Again, I believe they are selling lots of these in China right now, and so hopefully they are in stock when this podcast does come out, but it might be worth picking up. I believe it's a 3-pack that you get, so you would get 3 in that package. All right, so they have retailers around the world. I'll simply link up their website. You can go check them out. The next one I want to go over was I've tried out now 3 pairs of Airtubes, Airtube headsets. Basically, everyone has either AirPods, which are the wireless ones, or they have the regular, like iPhone AirPods, or I should say headset, whatever you want, right? Whatever you want. Well, here's the thing. I've not yet switched to the AirPods, and the reason is that I don't want that direct Bluetooth signal and radiation inside of my skull, inside of my ears, because that is not going to be good when we're trying to reduce EMFs and reduce radiation against our brain, right? Because we already know, we've seen the studies. If you hold a cell phone against your head, you are radiating your brain. And so even though I need to deal with the tangles of the headset, and I post that on Instagram stories probably like once a month, I'm like, okay, it's going to take me 5 minutes to untangle this mess. I have no idea how it happened because I twirled it around two of my fingers. I nicely slipped it into my pocket. I pulled it out, and there's like 15 different knots inside of it that I need to untie all of these different braids and, netting. And it's crazy. But I'm still not willing until we come up with a better solution to expose my brain to those types of EMFs. So I wear the regular headset for right now, where the majority of the radiation is going to be diffused by the time it gets to my ears. Well, there's another system, and the system is called Airtubes. So right about your collarbone, with these Airtubes, basically the same wiring then turns into tubes. And the tube is actually filled with air. That's why we get air tubes. And it allows the vibration then to go up to your ears. And so you're getting now the noise, the music or the conversation, the podcast, and not the radiation. So it's stopping again below the collarbone. So it's not getting above that into your ears. And so better that it's radiating away from the body and not actually touching your body, because the air tubes don't touch the body, rather than inside of your head. Here's the problem with me. None of these fit inside my ears. They literally will not stay in my ear. The slightest motion of me turning my head and the air tubes just fall out. And that's because they have these soft little applicators at the end. And for whatever reason, I don't know if my air canals are large or if they're too small or whatever it is, they just don't work with air tubes. So here's the thing though. For most people, they do. And that's why I want to be able to recommend you things that work for most normal people. I don't always fit in that normal category, that's for sure. So what I'm going to do, though, is I literally just found a new pair as I was about to bring you this show. And I'm going to link that up as well. This one is more of the hard earpiece. So that I seem to do much better with the iPhone, the white ear set. I don't know what you call these things. So, but I do better with that in-ear hard piece. So I'm going to link that one up for anybody strange like me with who can't keep AirPods in their ear tubes. And then on that same page, if you simply scroll down, you'll see the other air tubes there's a bunch of brands. There is, I know Dr. McCullough makes a brand, Tuisy, Tuisy makes a brand of them. Defender or Defender Shield makes a brand. So all you have to do is scroll down. Oh, and they're all right here. Tuisy, Dr. McCullough, and which one? Universal Anti-Radiation. So check these out. They all get about 4 stars. Just because, again, I think other people have issues keeping them in their ears as well. But the nice thing about Amazon, if you buy them there, well, you can return them if they didn't work for you. So it's one more way that we're able to keep our radiation low. And this might be a nice addition to your arsenal of anti-EMF based devices. Typically, they'll range somewhere around $29.95 to $39.95 for most of these. All right, I'll link those up again today at StephenCabral.com/1505. And in 6 months from now, a year from now, I find a pair that really works great for me, well, I'll put it back on that page too. I'll update that page. All right. Next up, I want to share with you some of my research for the week. But before I do, a public service announcement, a public safety announcement. Over the last couple of weeks, I've heard from and read too much on social media and online, people having severe reactions to essential oils. And what I want to do is be really cognizant of the amount of people that use essential oils and use them properly and promote them, but sometimes being taken too far. So here's what I'm going to share with you. Again, I don't talk about essential oils enough. I'll talk about them more in the future. I really will. I've talked about bergamot. I've talked about lavender. I've talked about many, many essential oils. Don't get me wrong. And I have a diffuser sitting about 6 feet away from my desk. So I'm diffusing all sorts of essential oils pretty much every day I'm in my office. And I love it. It's a big part of our routine. We diffuse them at home as well. beautiful wood diffusers. If you ever want to see the ones that we use, again, you can just go to stevencabral.com/podcasts, type in essential oil diffuser, and you'll see all the ones I recommend. Well, here's the thing though. Most essential oils should not be taken internally. And here's what I want to say about that as a caveat. Unless you're working with a qualified doctor or practitioner who specializes in this, please do not use essential oils internally. They are very strong and very acid and can burn the esophagus, can burn the mouth, can burn literally a hole in the stomach, can cause liver-based issues. Please don't take them internally. That's all I'm asking. Use your essential oils, roll them on, diffuse them. You can use them as part of a massage-based oil. All that's great, okay? Big believer, use them myself. We have tons in my house, okay? But here's what I want to share with you. They can also be very dangerous when taken internally. So that is why I just recommend to you, if you see any products that have essential oils in them, just make sure it's also a functional medicine brand and it's been recommended by a practitioner you trust. So every once in a while, you might see some actual lavender oil or something like that in a soft gel or something like that. Well, that has been made to be ingestible. That's the word that I'm looking for. But again, very rare that you would ever need to take any essential oils. Now, it's a little different than me saying oregano or thyme or clove or any of those. We have a product called GI Balance that we use all the time for bacterial buildup in the gut and yeast overgrowth in the gut. And we use that. And we've been using it now for 7 years. Now, here's the thing though. That is a functional medicine-based formula that is not at the 100% of potency of an essential oil. That could burn, right? So we don't do that. They're powerful, they work, but please be careful. I want the best for you. And so I'm not naming any brands because they can all act in the same way. I just want to make sure that you take care of yourself, you take care of your family. Use them externally unless working with a doctor or practitioner. Okay, so next up, as we move on to our research, we've been talking a lot about mold lately. I even mentioned mold today, mold toxicity test, right? A lot of people dealing with mold toxicity. Well, one way to clean your home, countertops, inside of your refrigerator where mold can grow all the time, is to use one simple, cheap ingredient and let it sit on the surface for 20 minutes. And that is none other than vinegar. Why does vinegar work? Well, much like why we just talked about essential oils. And that's why you can use these as part of a cleaner. So on episode 847, so stevencabral.com/847, I gave you a household cleaner. A homemade household cleaner that we use in my house. And all it is this. And then I'll give you the active ingredient. It is 8 ounces distilled water, 8 ounces of organic distilled white vinegar, 2 to 3 squeezed or strained lemons, 1 teaspoon of Castile soap, that's optional as well, and 20 to 30 drops of essential oils, whatever you like for scent. We use lavender all the time. That's our go-to. Tea tree is also a great one for cleaning. So that's what we use. Again, that recipe is at stevencabral.com/847. We put it inside of an amber bottle, an amber glass spray bottle, and you'll be able to check that out. Well, actually, you can just look up amber glass spray bottle, and you'll be able to find that. So reason we like glass is because this is very acidic, and you don't want to put an acid-based substance in a plastic bottle that will start to leach that plastic, even if it's PCB-free. Okay, so what's the main active ingredient that kills mold? And that is white vinegar. And we just get organic distilled white vinegar. It might be $2.50 for a big bottle of that. And what that does is if you keep it on that surface, it could be cutting board, you can use it for whatever. It's going to kill molds. And so really nice, like every couple weeks, take everything out of your refrigerator, spray it down with this solution, and just wipe it over the surface, and you're going to be able to kill mold in all those areas. So great for the bathroom, great for the shower, great for the refrigerator, countertops. It's a nice one to use. Okay, so simple remedy, and sometimes simple is best. Next up, I wanted to share with you some nice simple research as well. This is a finding from Tohoku University in Japan, Sendai, Japan. And this was done with more than 36,000 men. So again, another large-scale study published in the International Journal of Cancer. So what did we find? Well, we have a study that said people, we'll go with men, you'll see why in a second, people who ate mushrooms 3 or more times per week had a 17% lower risk for prostate cancer than people who ate mushrooms less than once a week. This might be because mushrooms are rich in an antioxidant, including L-ergothioneine, especially shiitake mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, maitake, and king oyster mushrooms. So nice little study. Adding those, we can just go with what the study showed. Shiitake, oyster, maitake, and king oyster mushrooms. Add those in 3 or more times per week. Just a handful, small amount. We don't need a lot. 17% lower risk of prostate cancer. So again, love simple. You're going to be cooking healthy anyways. Toss these in. You'll remember, you have to clean your mushrooms though. Clean those mushrooms, all right? Simple apple cider vinegar, water-based solution that will help clean them. You can dry them off and then you can cook them, or you can add them to whatever it is that you are making. Typically, I recommend cooking them. Okay, next up is a study on blue light. I believe blue light is the next one that I have for you. And yes, it is. This one is on blue light from any type of smart-based device or screen. And this also includes lights. I think it was it last week? Let's see if this was last week. Yes, it was. So episode 1498, I did a show on essentially this company called Brilli Bulbs. And what they do is they're making no blue light lights for the evening and then blue light lights for the morning. So basically, wake up with blue light to simulate the sun and then go to bed with no light, more of an amber-based color for the evening to wind down, be able to produce more melatonin. Well, we're going to see lots of these studies coming out in the future. And basically, although, again, this one I'm holding with a little bit of a grain of salt, but why would I bring it to you? Because it makes total sense. Like, again, I don't need research to back up common sense. However, I will share with you what this does show. So basically, this was done in flies, and it shows that 12 hours of blue light and 12 hours of darkness, those flies exposed to it, lived significantly shorter lives than those kept in darkness or exposed to light with blue wavelengths filtered out. Blue light exposed flies had damaged their retinal cells and brain neurons and developed difficulty climbing the walls of their enclosures. Human blue light exposure is quickly increasing through widespread use of LED lighting and electronic-based devices. This was actually a big published study. This was done out of Oregon State University, and it was published in Aging and Mechanisms of Disease. Why did I bring it to you? Although we do need more research, was simply this, is that you throw off your circadian rhythm when you are exposed to blue light really after, let's say, 4 or 5 o'clock in the wintertime, and then let's say about 8 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock or so in the summer, because that would simulate the normal length of the sun setting at night, right? So why does that matter? Well, we are meant to not get massive amounts of blue light all the time. And also, we have gray days. We have cloudy days sometimes. Well, using computers and smartphones and TVs and lights on in our house, we never have any of that. So the more we are exposed to these lights, the more it pushes the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, the less deep sleep we get at night, the less melatonin we produce, the less serotonin we produce, and that can actually throw off our gut and digestive system as well. So it's something important to look at. I really do believe, again, simple things will allow us to do that, using no blue light bulbs at night, or if you have to use them and you have to use smart devices, put on blue blocking glasses. You can use the deep sleep protocol that we offer at Equilibrium Nutrition, or a little bit of liquid melatonin. You can use the adrenal soothe to begin to calm down those cortisol levels, but full spectrum magnesium is another great one. But you have to turn off that nervous system, and you have to actually get good quality deep sleep, about an hour and a half of deep sleep per night, about 7 to 9 total hours of sleep per night, somewhere about 2.5 hours of REM sleep per night. And that's what we need in order to be able to recover. Because if not, we start to age much faster, and we will have the studies to continue to back this up. So hopefully this was helpful. That is my time for today. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate your support. As always, excited that we were celebrating episode 1500, apparently all this week. And don't forget, I'm back on the weekends answering our community's questions on the Cabral House Calls. Hopefully you do tune in then. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your weekend, or start to your weekend. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now, at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.